Reaction is coming in on the Supreme Court's decision to strike down affirmative action for college admissions. This means race cannot be a factor in the process. Many advocates worry the ruling would cause a drop in minority enrollment in higher education.
Andres Fuentes has more local reaction from some of the state's universities.
The news of the Supreme Court rolling back affirmative action for college and university admissions stunned many, like Frederick Bell. The Tulane alum says for nearly 50 years, affirmative action did as it was intended, force an increase in minority students on campus.
And the fact that we had 400 years of slavery, that has led to a cyclical effect. Poverty is cyclical, wealth is cyclical. And affirmative action was one way for us to break those cycles.
Now, schools across the country scramble to reshape their admission practices.
Eliminating standardized tests, ACT, SAT, looking at the socioeconomic status of students. I think those are going to be really important measures as we think about a post-affirmative action world.
While most schools in Louisiana say that they rely mostly on GPA and test scores for admissions, HBCUs like Dillard University say they have ways to continue a diverse student body.
And I think that we are a role model for other universities because we were built on a culture of inclusion.
President Dr. Rochelle Ford says for more than 150 years, Dillard University has educated students of different races and cultures. Ford hopes other schools and even employers will see the importance in diversity.
What we're going to do now is continue to build partnerships within our higher education sector with predominantly white institutions, with Hispanic serving institutions, with tribal colleges, so that we can work collaboratively to make sure that we have access for others.
And while schools grapple with the immediate effects of the Supreme Court ruling, Xavier University President Reynold Verrett warns of the long-term effects of not prioritizing minority admissions.
The talent of this country is also among these underrepresented Black and brown groups. And the country will be struggling if it does not educate them and give them education opportunity in unforeseen ways, because the country has not always done that.
Group's 9 universities, which include UNO, Nicholls State, and Southeastern, use objective admissions criteria based on high school GPA, grades in core curriculum, and standardized test scores. And with only a few exceptions, most applicants who meet the criteria are accepted.